it's Naomi here, your rapid renovation expert. Are you ready to get your hands dirty, but you don't know where to start? Do you have a renovation vision, but you're not sure how to translate that to dollars? Is the thought of calculating making your head spin? One of the most important steps is finding your buyers. Why? Because once you know who you're selling to, you can design your product that fits them perfectly. In this case, it's your renovation product. It's pretty obvious from all of those renovation shows on TV that a good renovation can reap some serious benefits. But the idea of parting with a big chunk of your budget can be pretty scary at first, especially if you haven't got a clue of how much it's all really going to cost. Before you run away, I've got some good news for you. It's possible and actually fairly straightforward to work out the cost of your renovations without losing your marbles. I have a whole bunch of checklists, resources in my rapid renovation formula that can keep your hand when you're doing your budget calculations and make sure that you don't miss anything. They're also super handy to pull out once you're actually doing the renovation so you can make sure that you're on track. But before I freak you out even more with a million different things, you should consider these three main ones that you should look at that will help you get the ball rolling. First up, number one, is there anything that needs serious attention? I'm not talking about the hideous lime green wall paint or the frilly curtains in the bedroom. Yeah, it might be a sight for sore eyes, but it can be fixed quite easily. I'm also not talking about the 10 pillars under the house that are about to collapse at any minute. Unless the rest of the house has some unbelievable potential, I would suggest you avoid this type of place. That will suck the budget dry before you even get started on those lime green walls. Now remember, there is no point in getting a place that eats up your budget unless it's valuable budget. If you've only set aside enough for the kitchen renovation and the wall paint, look for another project that fits the bill. Otherwise, you'll end up doing half of the renovation and it will have a massive impact on your end profit. So if you've done your research and the house that you want to renovate is perfect for your goals, then it might be worth buying, as long as it doesn't overextend your budget. Just be sure that you fix up rusting gutters, replace termite damaged wooden beams first before you sell. And when you do, watch as your potential buyers jump over each other to buy your amazing finished product. So next up, number two, are you going to do any structural renovations or are you going to be sticking more towards the cosmetic end? The easiest way to figure out an estimate of your renovation cost is to break down your renovation into either structural or cosmetic elements. There are two main types of renovation that you can do. You can either stick to simple airbrushing, low risk, keep it simple, paint jobs, floor polishes, or even, God forbid I say, a more drastic nose job, some might say, bigger changes like a bathroom or a kitchen makeover or even a small extension. Obviously, the bigger changes though also mean a slightly larger risk and more time because it involves a more serious level of structural work. But they can always also mean much bigger paychecks at the end of the day. So you've found your ideal project, it's perfect. You can already see the target market jumping in on auction day, especially when you knock down the wall between the kitchen and install beautiful French provincial doors. Those kids are going to be loving it in that new entertaining area that you're adding. So knocking down walls will automatically put this type of renovation into the structural column. If you're not actually going to be replacing the kitchen cupboards and just doing a paint over job, then it will put it more in the cosmetic column. This way you can see if you're dividing up between structural and cosmetic, it can really help simplify and give you a good idea of what your costs are going to be before you head into it. But if you have a long list in the structural column, it might be a little trickier to get a good stab on the costs because of the nature of that work. Generally speaking, structural works can sometimes be a bit more complicated with a budget because you're going to have your trades and your builders involved too. So for these types of works, you'd almost always have a professional trade carrying them out for you. And until they've had a good look at the job and they can assess the job, it can be hard to put a price tag to that for you. And last but not least, what is the level of finish that you're aiming for? Okay, so when you think about it, this is where you're putting yourself in your target market shoes, okay? So you're going full steam ahead with what you think is a beautiful set of French provincial doors to offset the gorgeous understated kitchen. And there are certain things that you have to keep in mind. The kitchen is definitely one of the best areas where you can add value to the house. Now, you've thought about adding up all of the cupboards and the benchtop space, and you can't resist the beautiful style that you have in mind. But just keep in mind that you're not renovating for you. Keep in mind at all times your target market. If the house is on the smaller end, it might be worth your budget to rip out a kitchen and knock down a wall and throw a bit of money at that to have a bit of an open plan space. But your expectations might fall flat if the kitchen is way better than the rest of the house. So might the buyers. So the same thing goes if you have a 5-bedroom house and it's screaming of a beautiful provincial kitchen and you choose to skimp on costs and paint over the existing lime green kitchen. Sure, it's been renovated, but what do the potential buyers think? What do the potential buyers expect in this big house? And it's probably a nice big kitchen to go along with that big house. So there you have it. Here are 3 things to consider. They're my top 3 things to consider when you're working out your budget. Stick with these 3 to start off with, and then get involved in the Rapid Renovation Formula. Check out the checklist, and in no time at all, you'll be on your way to renovating to create wealth. Thanks for joining me. Did you know I wrote a book all about renovating to create wealth and freedom in your life? I've added the link below in the description for you. Enjoy.